Once upon a time, in a small village named Ubode, there happened to be fear in the community as a result of disputes between the Olu of Ubode and the king of the neighboring village. The king had ordered the town crier to warn people to abstain from doing anything that could raise alarm or land them in trouble. They had to refrain from traveling to the other villages to buy or sell things. The children were prevented from going to Nana's compound for bedtime stories. All traditional weddings and naming ceremonies were put on hold as the villagers were in massive fear. Fatima lived in a small hut with her parents, brother and grandmother. She was only 10 years old, but she appeared to be more brave than her brother. She was a very playful child who found the restriction very burdensome and unfair. She enjoyed playing with other kids, bathing in the river with them, and heading to Nana's yard for bedtime stories. She had enjoyed following her parents to the farm, but now they had to go by themselves, excluding the kids. She also missed traveling to other villages with her mom to exchange their beads for cowries and some offie, and she wanted that back and thought of a way to help the villagers gain their freedom back. On one fateful morning, after her parents had left for the farm, leaving the kids and their grandmother at home, Fatima stood up from her mat and sneaked out of the house. She headed straight to the king's palace and requested to see the king. The guards were shocked by her boldness and outspokenness. She was instructed to go back home to her parents and prevented from entering the palace. Fatima threw some tantrums just to disturb the peace of the palace. Reports later got to the king and he demanded the intruder to be let in. She was led straight to the king's quarters and was told to wait in the waiting room. Fatima sat there staring at different wooden and molded statues used to decorate the room. That was her first time entering the palace, and it looked like an adventure already. The group of statues looked like a small group of villagers who were happy and in harmony with the king. Fatima was alarmed by the king's poets who were singing praises to the king, so she had to go on her knees as a sign of respect and obeisance to the king. She bowed her head until the king sat on his throne and asked her to get up. He asked after her parents and whom she came to the palace with. She replied to the king that no one sent her and that she came by herself. The king was not sure if he was angered or surprised by the audacity of the little girl, and that he had to get up just to attend a little girl of 10 years old. He told her to return home at that minute, never to return, otherwise she would be punished. Fatima looked up and said, "O king, why are you paying attention only to what the eyes can see? Why do you judge based on the outward appearance? Is it not one's ability and wisdom that matters?" Opening his mouth in awe, the king sat back and wondered if Fatima was really a child or an old woman looking like a child. "So tell me, my child, what do you know?" the king questioned. "I know of a king who loves and cherishes his people, but due to some reasons, this particular king is sad and upset with himself. But there is a way out," Fatima replied. "Okay, so what do you suggest I do now?" the king questioned Fatima again, and Fatima responded, "My grandmother once told me a story of how a king saved the whole village because of a single sorry he said. He apologized even when he wasn't at fault, just for peace to reign. He humbly pleaded with his rivals and gained his subjects their freedom and lives. Are you suggesting I should do the same that happened in an imaginary story?" the king asked again, almost flying up, before remembering he was addressing a king. "Oh, I dare not tell you what to do, my king. This is just a suggestion from a loyal and humble subject of yours. At times, as a child, I had to say sorry to my parents even when they were the ones who had hurt me. My grandmother told me that this was a sad reality of life. At times, we will feel cheated, but we can't help it. We had to do whatever we can just for peace to reign." Fatima replied again, but this time back on her knees and her face facing down. The king and his men remained speechless as they stared at each other. They believed the girl was sent by their creator to help them out in this particular situation. Fatima was escorted home by the palace guards, and her parents were scared to see her. They've been worried and had been searching for her when they returned from the farm. Fatima kept mute about her visit and discussion with the king. A part of her was scared, as she didn't know what her actions would cause her and her family, but she was glad she made an attempt to help the community. The king later swallowed his pride and heeded to the young child's advice. He apologized and begged for forgiveness from the other kings, and they both settled their differences. And ever since then, the people had been living in harmony and peace, just like before, and it was all thanks to Fatima for her boldness. Her name, this remained in history as she was given her own due respect. Truly, sorry goes a long way.